Martha Watson sat at the kitchen table, staring intently at her computer screen. The Boston morning was chilly, and the light shining through the window illuminated her tired face. Her eyes held a strength that would never yield. "Mom, look at this. I made a slideshow. Don't you think it would be perfect for the FinSmart Life website?" 8-year-old Noah came running over with his small tablet. His eyes were sparkling, and his brown hair was slightly tousled from the morning rush. Martha smiled and took her son's tablet. "Wow, this is wonderful, Noah. The colors, the animations, they're all perfect. You really have talent." Martha gently stroked Noah's head. Ever since she had left her position at a major financial firm 2 years ago to launch her own online financial consulting business, FinSmart Life, her son had become her most enthusiastic supporter. Life after the divorce hadn't been easy, but the two of them were bound by a strong connection. "Why don't you put this on the homepage?" Noah suggested excitedly. "And post it on social media too. Lots of people will see it." "Yes, let's do that," Martha replied while mentally organizing her schedule for the day. Her business was still small, but she was gradually gaining more clients. The path as a solopreneur was challenging, but she had no regrets about her choice. As she was preparing breakfast, her smartphone rang. It was her mother, Linda. Martha answered with slight tension in her voice. "Good morning, Mom." "Martha, have you heard about Amy?" Linda's voice was filled with excitement. Martha's sister Amy worked at a major investment firm in New York.
"Do you know some people earn over $10,000 a month just by posting Reddit stories on YouTube? No face, no voice, just a laptop. I do it too. Link below if you're curious."
Her success within the family was always the center of attention. "No, what happened?" "She's been promoted to an executive position. Vice president. Can you imagine? The first vice president in our family." Martha smiled quietly. "That's wonderful news, Mom. Tell Amy congratulations from me." "Of course, you could tell her yourself. There's a promotion party next Saturday at the Plaza Hotel in New York. The whole family is invited." Martha hesitated for a moment. "I might have to check first. Noah might have a soccer game that day." "Are you going to run away again?" Linda's voice carried its usual tone of reproach. "This is an important day for your sister. You can ask your ex-husband to take care of Noah." "I'll think about it, Mom," Martha answered tiredly. After hanging up, Noah looked at her with concern. "Are you okay, Mom?" "Yes, I'm fine," Martha smiled at her son. That was Grandma on the phone. "It seems Aunt Amy got a promotion at her company." "Aunt Amy again?" Noah frowned. "Grandma always talks about Aunt Amy." Martha was surprised by her son's perception. "Yes, that's because Grandma is proud of her. But you're doing amazing work too," Noah said with a serious expression. "You're a real businesswoman. You help lots of people every day, and you have your own company." Martha felt warmth spreading in her chest at her son's words. "Thank you, Noah. Your opinion means more to me than anything else." After finishing breakfast and sending Noah off to school, Martha returned to her home office space. She took a deep breath and sat down at her computer. The thought of Amy's promotion party weighed heavily on her mind. Martha always felt uncomfortable at family gatherings. Her chosen career path was never understood, especially by her mother. "What are you planning to do after quitting a major corporation?" Martha still remembered her mother's words when she announced she was starting her own business right after the divorce. Working from home while raising a child alone. As Martha was checking her emails, she noticed an invitation from Amy. Embedded in the elegant design was Amy's smiling photo. A message was attached: "Your presence will make my special day even more special." Martha stared at the screen for a while. Considering the subtle relationship with her sister over the years, she wasn't eager to attend this party. But at the same time, She thought that this event, where important figures in the industry would gather, might bring new opportunities for her business. She made her decision and began writing a response to the invitation. "Of course I'll attend. Congratulations, Amy." Noah's words repeated in her head. Mom is a real businesswoman. Martha smiled and got to work. On Saturday evening, Martha kissed Noah at the door of their apartment. He was going to spend the weekend with his father. "Remember to go to bed at 9 like I told you. You're getting up early to go fishing tomorrow, right?" Martha said as she tidied his hair. "I know, Mom," Noah replied with a slightly bored expression, but quickly showed a bright smile. "Have fun at Aunt Amy's party. And make sure to talk a lot about your business." Martha smiled. "I will, if I get the chance." When Noah's father Mike honked the car horn, Noah shouted, "Mom's the best businesswoman ever," before running off. Martha returned to the apartment and stood in front of the full-length mirror. A simple navy blue dress with modest accessories. She examined herself and took a deep breath. "It's fine, this is good," she reassured herself. Tonight isn't just a family gathering. It's also a business opportunity. Getting into the taxi, Martha took out her smartphone. She did a final check of FinSmartLife's website and social media accounts, and quickly replied to messages from new clients. Her business was steadily growing. With a flexibility and creativity she could never have achieved at a large corporation, she was providing financial advice to individuals and startup companies. Arriving at the Plaza Hotel in New York, Martha hesitated for a moment. A sophisticated sign reading, "Celebration for Amy Watson's Vice President Appointment," stood at the hotel entrance. The doorman opened the door for her, and Martha stepped into the elegant lobby. After giving her name at the reception, the staff kindly guided her to the banquet hall. Upon entering, the hall was already bustling with many guests. People in refined suits and dresses were chatting with champagne glasses in hand. Martha. Turning around, she saw her mother Linda approaching in a glamorous dress. "Finally, you're here. It's a lovely evening. Amy is talking with the company president right now." Linda looked Martha up and down, slightly frowning. "Couldn't you have chosen something more colorful to wear?" Martha maintained her smile and answered, "I thought this suited me." "Well, never mind," Linda sighed. "Anyway, that's Amy over there. Go say hello to her." Martha took a champagne glass and headed to the opposite side of the room. Along the way, she engaged in light conversation with several businessmen. When she introduced herself, many showed surprised expressions, saying, "You're the sister of the famous Amy Watson." In the corner of the room, Amy was surrounded by a group of colleagues. She was wearing a vibrant red dress, shining like a movie star. As Martha approached, Amy welcomed her with an exaggerated gesture. "Big sis. You came." Amy kissed Martha on the cheek. Her perfume was so strong that Martha stepped back slightly. "Everyone, this is my sister Martha." "Good evening," Martha smiled gently. "What do you do, Ms. Martha?" one of Amy's colleagues asked. Before Martha could answer, Amy interrupted. "My sister used to work on Wall Street, but now she's, what do you call it? Running a small online consulting thing, right?" "I run a financial consulting business called FinSmartLife," Martha responded calmly. "We primarily provide services to small business owners and startup companies." "That sounds interesting," said one of the men in the group. "These days, it's actually these small-scale businesses that are becoming the source of innovation." Martha took notice of the man. There was intelligence and warmth in his gaze. "David Morrison," he introduced himself. "I'm actually very interested in small businesses, especially those with new business models leveraging technology." "Martha Watson," she replied as they shook hands. She wasn't sure what position he held, but his genuine interest seemed authentic. "Could you tell me a bit more about your business?" David asked. Martha, though slightly nervous, explained her business model and how she was supporting her clients with financial management. David listened attentively, occasionally inserting sharp questions. Their conversation continued until the host took the microphone and stood in the center of the room. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome tonight's star, our new vice president, Amy Watson. Applause erupted, and Amy gracefully walked to the center. She took the microphone and began her greeting with a radiant smile. Thank you all for gathering here today. I am deeply grateful for this wonderful opportunity. Amy's speech was fluent, occasionally interspersed with humor that captivated the audience. Martha smiled quietly, genuinely proud of her sister's success. And I have a special family member here today. Amy suddenly pointed toward Martha. My sister Martha. Without her, I wouldn't be here today. Warm applause was directed at Martha, who waved lightly, though slightly embarrassed. My sister was my role model. Amy continued. But there was something calculated in her expression. She always taught me to go ahead. Corporate job, marriage, and then. Amy paused momentarily and looked around the room. She calls herself a company owner now, but she's actually just working from home by herself. The room filled with laughter. Martha felt as if her body was gradually shrinking. In this moment, various thoughts raced through her mind. Noah's words before bedtime last night, "Mom, you're such a strong person," the struggles of starting a new business alone after her divorce, and above all, her promise to herself to live strongly for Noah. Martha's fingertips trembled as she gripped her champagne glass tightly. She raised her head and looked at Amy. Amy was in the center of the hall, smiling with a self-confident expression. Mother Linda was also joining in the laughter, happily chatting with acquaintances. These two women should have been the closest people to Martha. In the silence that surrounded her, Martha suddenly noticed David Morrison beside her. His expression mixed anger with some other emotion. During their brief conversation, he had enthusiastically asked about her business, but the reason for his interest remained a mystery. At that moment, David quietly rose from his chair. Standing with his back straight and lightly raising his champagne glass, his presence demanded the attention of everyone in the room. The laughter gradually died down as people's gazes turned to David. "May I have a moment of your time?" David's calm voice resonated throughout the hall. His voice carried authority, yet without aggression. "Amy, congratulations on your wonderful promotion. This is a magnificent moment where your efforts and talents have come to fruition." Amy responded with a slightly confused "thank you." Her eyes showed a questioning look. "I am David Morrison, founder and CEO of Tech Venture Partners," he introduced himself. The atmosphere in the room changed instantly. Tech Venture Partners was one of the most successful venture capital firms in Silicon Valley, with a track record of investing in multi-billion-dollar successful projects over the past decade. "Today, I'd like to shine a spotlight on another remarkable business person." David looked toward Martha. "Martha Watson." Martha's eyes widened in surprise. Before her body could react, David continued. "As someone who has made over 20 investments in Silicon Valley, I can say that Martha's FinSmart Life represents an innovative business model." The room grew even quieter. Amy's expression hardened, and Mother Linda looked at Martha with a confused face. Her platform focuses on a market segment overlooked by traditional financial consulting, utilizing technology to provide individually optimized solutions, David continued, speaking matter-of-factly yet passionately. "In fact, we are considering a $5 million investment in her application." $5 million, someone repeated in a low voice. A wave of surprise spread through the hall. Furthermore, the user interface ideas developed by her 8-year-old son are also remarkable. By incorporating a child's perspective, her platform has become intuitive and user-friendly. Martha could hardly believe her ears. She was surprised that David knew about Noah, but even more shocked that he knew so much about her business. "Martha embodies the new form of business known as a solopreneur," David continued, looking around the entire hall. We've entered an era where businesses should be evaluated by their influence and innovation, not by the number of employees. Amy's face turned pale. Mother Linda stood frozen with a wine glass in her hand. The hall was wrapped in complete silence, with only David's words resonating. With the development of the internet and technology, it's now possible for individuals to build businesses with significant impact. Pioneers like Martha are showing us the possibilities of new business models. David turned to Martha again and showed a gentle smile. I respect your vision and execution ability. At Tech Venture Partners, we take great pleasure in supporting such innovative businesses. He took a business card from his pocket and offered it to Martha. Would you give me the opportunity to talk in more detail next week? Martha accepted the card with trembling hands. Her mind was in confusion, but at the same time, she felt deep gratitude that someone appreciated her business, which had been misunderstood by everyone else. Thank you. She finally managed to say. I would be happy to talk with you. David nodded politely and turned back to Amy. Amy, congratulations again. And you're fortunate to have such a wonderful sister. His words carried no sarcasm, but they held a deep meaning. Amy forced a smile and replied, Yes, I am, thank you. The venue gradually returned to normal conversation and music, but the atmosphere had clearly changed. Many people began looking at Martha, starting to understand that she was not simply someone working from home alone. Mother Linda hurried over to Martha and said in a low voice, Is that man really the CEO of Tech Venture Partners? Why does he know about you? Martha answered quietly, I don't know myself. But my business has much more value than you thought, Mom. A complex mix of emotions appeared in her mother's eyes. Surprise, confusion, and a little, something like self-reproach. Amy also broke away from her circle of people and came to Martha. Her face was trying to maintain a smile, but her eyes couldn't hide her agitation. I only meant it as a joke. I didn't mean to hurt you. Amy's voice was weak. Martha took a deep breath. Strangely, the humiliation and anger she had felt minutes ago had softened. What she felt now was a kind of liberation. It's okay, Amy. You go your way, and I'll go mine. That's all there is to it. For the rest of the evening, Martha was approached by many people. Many were interested in her business, and some even offered to exchange business cards. What she had been quietly building for years was suddenly gaining recognition overnight. As the party was coming to an end, David appeared again at Martha's side. I may have surprised you tonight, he said apologetically. But your business is truly remarkable. I'm glad we had the chance to meet. Martha smiled. I'm still puzzled about how you knew about my business. David laughed gently. Let's talk about that next week. Tonight, enjoy your victory. After the party ended, Martha was sitting in the hotel lobby. Her mind was in turmoil over the events of the night. The clock on her smartphone showed 11 p.m., but she wasn't yet ready to call a taxi. Waves of emotion washed over her, and she quietly accepted them. Ms. Martha, you're still here. Turning around, she saw David Morrison standing in the lobby. He had his suit jacket draped over his arm and looked somewhat relaxed. Yes. I was just thinking, Martha smiled. Thanks to you, tonight has become an unforgettable evening. David sat down next to Martha. It might have been too abrupt. But seeing that scene, I couldn't stay silent. How did you know about my business? Martha finally asked the question that had been bothering her most. David chuckled a bit. Actually, I've known about you for several months. Our analyst team came across the name FinSmartLife while researching new financial technology trends. Really? Martha was surprised. She thought her platform was still relatively small, not at a level that would be covered by major media. We use AI tools specialized in startup research. It picked up on your business model, David explained. Bringing a new approach to the existing personal financial consulting market by leveraging technology, that's exactly the type of innovation we've been looking for. But even about Noah. Well, I actually follow your Instagram, David said, looking slightly embarrassed. I saw your post discussing site design with your son, and I was impressed by that collaboration. Martha couldn't help but laugh. I never imagined a venture capitalist from Silicon Valley would be looking at my business Instagram account. Our job is to find the next big thing, David said with a serious expression. And sometimes, it's in unexpected places. Your business, while small in scale, has an innovative approach and mindset. Are you really considering a $5 million investment? Martha nervously asked. Or was it just to silence my sister and mother? No, that's true, David answered immediately. Of course, formal due diligence and contract negotiations are necessary, but our initial assessment shows that your platform has great potential. Especially interesting are the expansions for small and medium businesses, and the individually tailored advice system utilizing AI. Martha's heart raced. This was the moment when the business she had built in solitude was finally being recognized. How about Tuesday at 2 p.m. next week? David suggested. Could you give a presentation at our New York office? I'll set up a meeting with the investment team. Yes, of course, Martha answered without hesitation. I'll prepare. They continued talking a bit longer, eventually saying goodbye outside the hotel. Martha got into a taxi and checked the time for the train back to Boston. She took a deep breath and pulled out her smartphone. She felt an urge to call Noah. Looking at the clock, she saw it was already late. However, she knew her ex-husband wasn't the type to strictly enforce bedtime. Mom? Noah's sleepy voice came through the phone. Noah, I'm sorry for waking you, Martha said gently. I just wanted to talk to you right now. How was the party? Was Aunt Amy happy? Yes, it was a very eventful night, Martha smiled. Listen, Noah. Our business might really be something wonderful. Of course it is. I've been saying that all along, Noah replied, his voice sounding a bit more awake. You're right, but tonight, an important person highly praised your design ideas, Martha said happily. The interface proposal you made might help make our business even bigger. Really? Noah's voice suddenly became energetic. They liked my ideas. Yes, very much, Martha answered with tears in her eyes. You have so much talent, Noah. After hanging up, Martha gazed out the taxi window at the scenery. New York's night view was beautifully shining. All her struggles, the lack of understanding from her sister and mother, the lonely battle after divorce, all of it now appeared in a new light. The following Tuesday, Martha headed to Tech Venture Partners' New York office. She had been polishing her presentation until late the previous night. When Noah came home from school, he had offered his own ideas. What if customers could move the graphs themselves? Noah's suggestion added a new dimension to Martha's presentation. Riding the elevator in the skyscraper, Martha realized how far she had come. After her divorce, many had doubted her new career path. Could she succeed as a solopreneur? Could she grow a business while raising a child alone? These questions had constantly followed her. Entering the conference room, David and 5 other investment team members greeted her. They all had friendly yet sharp gazes. Everyone, this is Martha Watson, founder of FinSmart Life, and one of the entrepreneurs I've been most interested in recently, David introduced her. Martha took a deep breath and began her presentation. She talked about her vision, business model, and future growth strategy. In particular, the demo of an interactive financial analysis tool that incorporated Noah's ideas garnered great interest from the investment team. After 2 hours of rigorous Q&A, David smiled at her. Martha, that was an excellent presentation. Our team is very impressed. The next few weeks were spent on due diligence and contract negotiations. Martha revised her business plan and made expansion plans for her team. Finally, the $5 million investment contract was finalized. However, Martha didn't report her success to her family. There were several contacts from Amy, but Martha responded only briefly, without mentioning the investment. Mother Linda's attitude toward her had also become somewhat reserved since the night of the party. 3 months later, Martha's business was featured in the online version of February's Forbes as a notable woman entrepreneur. The article's title was Entrepreneur of the New Era, Martha Watson Redefines the Concept of Solopreneur. The article also included a photo with her 8-year-old son Noah, introducing him as the next generation tech genius. That day, Martha's smartphone kept ringing with notifications. Congratulatory messages poured in from former colleagues, friends, and distant relatives. However, what she cared about most was the reaction from her mother and sister. In the evening, there was a call from Amy. "I read the article. Why didn't you tell us anything?" Martha looked out the window as she answered. "I didn't think it was necessary. But, a $5 million investment, that's incredible. Why did you hide it?" "I wasn't hiding it, Amy," Martha said quietly. "I just shared it with people who truly understand my business." On the other end of the phone, Amy fell silent. In that silence was condensed the complex relationship between the sisters that had built up over many years. "Congratulations, sis," Amy finally said. "I'm really proud of you." Martha smiled. "Thank you, Amy." After hanging up, Noah came home from school. "Mom, I told everyone in class about the Forbes article today. The teacher was so happy too." Martha hugged her son. "It's all thanks to you, Noah. We make the best team." That night, after Noah had gone to sleep, Martha sat in her office space, gazing at the nighttime view of Boston through the window. She thought about how life can take unexpected turns. Sometimes, the greatest turning points come from places where we've been most hurt. And she felt anew the importance of continuing to believe in her own path. 1 year later, in a small but sophisticated office space located in Boston's Back Bay, 6 team members were busy working. Martha returned to her desk after finishing her last meeting in the glass-walled conference room. On her desk were a photo of Noah, now 9 years old, and his business card. The title, Noah Watson, Junior Creative Director, was something he proudly showed off every weekend when he came to the office. Martha's smartphone rang. It was a call from her mother, Linda. "Martha, I need to talk to you about Amy." Linda's voice was filled with worry. "Her company is undergoing major restructuring. Amy, she's been laid off." Martha sank deep into her chair. "Is that so? Is she all right?" "She's emotionally shocked. She worked for that company for 15 years. Her entire department was closed," Linda sighed. "Martha, I have a favor to ask. Could you do something for Amy? At your company?" Martha gazed out the window. She recalled years of treatment from Amy and her mother. However, strangely, she no longer felt the bitterness she once did. "Mom, I don't think my company would be a good fit for Amy," Martha said quietly. "She has her own strengths. Her experience of success in large corporations is valuable. I want Amy to find what she truly wants to do. Not just do something because she needs a job." On the other end of the phone, Linda was silent. After a while, she said in a small voice, "You might be right. We always thought that following Amy's path was everything. But you chose a different path and succeeded. We're all different people, Mom," Martha said gently. "Amy needs a chance to stop and find what she's truly passionate about." 2 months after that conversation, Amy launched her own financial consulting service for large corporations. It was a small business leveraging her expertise and connections. On a spring day, Martha, Noah, Amy, and Linda were enjoying brunch at Martha's apartment. At the table, the two sisters were discussing the challenges they each faced in their respective businesses. I was scared at first, Amy smiled. But I'm glad I found a way to leverage my strengths. It's thanks to you, sis. It was your own choice, Amy, Martha said. Linda looked at her two daughters, wearing a gentle smile. I'm truly proud of both of you. Noah brought dessert from the kitchen. Look at the update I designed for the app, Aunt Amy. I made it so customers can simulate investments more easily. That's amazing, Noah. Amy was impressed by her nephew's talent. Martha felt a sense of contentment as she watched this warm family scene. Life can sometimes be harsh and unreasonable. But she knew that by believing in one's own worth and pursuing true passion, new paths could open up. And above all, they had learned that true family means respecting each other, supporting one another, and accepting their differences.